You're talking to the most requested on the planet with 0 time on the Oprah Winfrey couch. Okay? Put your request in now. So let's talk about FDMG, brothers and sisters. Let's talk about the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Where did this come from? How did it all begin? What led to probably one of the greatest episodes of embarrassing hate that could be directed towards a particular black organizer since the days that W.E.B. Du Bois and A. Philip Randolph tried to destroy the greatest black movement in modern history, led by His Excellency, the Provisional Prophet and King of Pan-Africanism, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give it to you straight. So, as you all know, I am a certified school principal. Not Hotep, certified, credential, documents. When I resigned from the School District of Philadelphia to become a school administrator, in my capacity as a school administrator, this is back around 2005, so we're talking about 11 years ago now, it had occurred to me in working with our children, primarily K to 8, it occurred to me that I could be much more effective and that I could be of much greater use to our community as an administrator than I could ever be as a child psychotherapist. As you know, a full-time therapist working 40 hours a week can only see 40 clients a week. Okay, a clinical hour is about 45 minutes because you use the final 15 minutes to write up your clinical note. So even if I work a little overtime, let's say I put in 60 hours a week as a child psychotherapist, helping them work through their low self-esteem, their depression, fatherlessness, motherlessness, sex abuse, social anxiety, you name it. Even if I work 60 or 70 or 80 hours a week, let's just say I burn myself out completely and I work 80 hours a week. Well, guess what? That's only 80 students I'm seeing a week. Whereas, as an administrator of a school, you can impact the life of 300, 500, 700, 1,000 students every day, or even if you don't get to interact with every child every day, you're looking at impacting thousands every month. Every month. So let's compare this now. A child psychotherapist, which I've been for 20 years almost, impacting 80 children a week, maybe 360 a month, compared to being a school administrator where I can impact the lives of 700, 800, 900, 1,000 every week. Add to that the fact that in order for me to impact the life of a child as a psychotherapist, I have to wait until someone refers that child to me for therapy or counseling. I have to wait until someone refers that child to me for therapy or counseling. So there's children who may need to feel the energy of Dr. Papa, who may not get an opportunity to feel the energy of Dr. Papa because their teacher or their parent don't think it's important enough to have them sit down with me for a clinical hour for some school psychological counseling. Whereas school is mandatory. Public school is mandatory in the United States of America. So you don't have to wait for a referral to work with our young people if you are a principal, but you do have to wait for a referral to work with our young people if you are a school psychologist. So it should be a no-brainer for you all to conceptualize, to understand, understand, and overstand why Dr. Umar Johnson made the obvious leap from being a therapist to being a school principal. A principal can prevent problems. A therapist comes in after to reverse problems. A principal is proactive, whereas the therapist is reactionary. So in 2005, I decided I had contemplated it before 2005, but in 2005, I had contemplated that it was time for me to begin the process of building America's first true revolutionary Pan-African nationalist institution based on the principles of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey in international economics. I enrolled in Lehigh University, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, earned my master's degree in educational leadership, earned my principal certificate. Since then, I had the opportunity to be administrator in certain places, which I resigned from because I wasn't allowed to impact the charter school system the way I wanted to. See, a lot of times people who start charter schools bring in strong black men to manage the student population, but they don't want us to use our intelligence to manage the delivery of instructional content. They want to use us as a police officer in the school building. And many of you out there who are black male principals, you know that oftentimes they assign us to schools based on our masculinity as opposed to our intelligence. In other words, they want you to Joe Clark the situation. We want to bring you in and be a disciplinarian, but as Joe Clark did. But Joe Clark said, listen, I'm going to discipline, but I'm also going to educate. Joe Clark said, I'm going to discipline, but I'm also going to educate. And so Dr. Umar Johnson, getting sick and tired of being asked to evaluate children who don't have anything wrong with them, I said, I'm going to open up a school. So I continue to do what I'm doing, raising the consciousness of our people, helping our parents save their children from suspensions, expulsions, a life of special ed, misdiagnosis, ADHD, alternative schools. I've been blessed to have helped thousands of children without a school. So if I can do what I do with the grace of God without a school, imagine if I have a school. And so I conceived of this a long time ago. But then 3 years ago in 2014, this whole school initiative, okay, was jump started, okay, and thrown into full throttle in gear when a brother of mine, Brother Dante out of Virginia, shout out to the 7 cities of Virginia and the brothers and sisters down there who still support Dr. Umar Johnson. Some of them have become traitors. Unfortunately, some of the sisters I learned had become detractors of my work. So sad. Who used to sit inside of my meeting of the minds there at the Tidewater Elementary School. They become detractors, you know, but hey, that's how it goes. But anyhow, Brother Dante called me up one day and he said, yo, there's a HBCU for sale in Lawrenceville, Virginia. And they only want $2 million. This is the spring of 2014. This is the etiology of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy fundraising campaign. Okay? So he calls me up on the phone, bro, there's a school for sale. $2 million, historically black college. So I jump on the internet. I look up the school. It's the St. Paul's College, founded by Father Russell, who was a close friend of the late great sage of Tuskegee, the Honorable Dr. Booker T. Washington. Okay, and he was also a good friend with the late great master scientist, supreme scientist, Dr. George Washington Carver, who actually visited St. Paul's College on more than one occasion, from what I understand. So being a fan of Booker T, who inspired the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey to give us the largest black organization in modern history, being a big fan of the late great Dr. George Washington Carver, who was probably the greatest scientist in the world, okay, during the 20th century, okay, I couldn't help but say, let me look into this. So I got on the telephone. I called up the college. There was a black man who was appointed president of the college. He wasn't much help to me at all. He didn't really care about what I was trying to do, as most bourgeois don't. But anyhow, he directed me to the realty company that was handling the purchase of the St. Paul's College. So I contact them, white folks, and I said, hey, I'm interested in this school. They said, do you have any money? I said, no, I don't. I haven't done any fundraising, but I know I need this college. I don't want to see another black college go under. As you all know, all across the country, they are attacking historically black colleges, running them out of business, and having them colonized by the larger white state and private institutions in the area where they are. It's no small secret, okay, that they want to give Cheney University, our oldest state HBCU in America, they want to give that to Temple University or the University of Pennsylvania. It's no secret that they want to give South Carolina State to the University of South Carolina. It's no secret that they want to give the HBCUs in North Carolina to Duke and UNC and NC State. It's no secret that they want to give Central State right here in Ohio, Wilberforce right here in Ohio. It's no secret that they want to turn that over to Ohio State and University of Ohio. We have to fight to keep these black schools black, okay? LeBron James, what are you doing for Central State University? LeBron James, what are you doing for Wilberforce University? I commend you, my brother. You putting a lot of black kids through college, but are you stipulating that they must go to HBCUs, my brother? Please don't let your advisors misdirect you, brother LeBron James. If you're going to pay for children to go to college, you must require that they go to HBCUs. That $20 million, $40 million, $60 million that you're spending to send our children to college, you should be requiring that they go to Wilberforce, Central State, and other HBCUs around the region, my brother. That's how you give back, okay? Furthermore, I would argue that you might want to take some of that money, brother, okay? Because I like what you're doing. I like your whole movement. You understand me? Take some of that money, take it out the college fund, and use it and give out small business development grants to these black children. Give out small business development grants. That's what our children need. They need business startup grants, LeBron. They don't need a bachelor's degree. They need a business startup grant. They keep telling us we're sending more black kids to college than ever before. I don't care about you sending more black children to college, because all that equals is more black people being in debt because they're not going on full scholarship. Many of them have to cover 100% of the tuition, 50% of the tuition, even 25% of the tuition can be too much for a brother or sister coming from a working class family, coming from a single parent family. 87% of our children being raised by the mothers. So LeBron James and Oprah Winfrey, stop paying for college and start paying for businesses. Stop paying for college and start paying for businesses. Don't send them to college, okay? Open up a Starbucks and give it to them. Don't send them to college. Open up a Walmart and give it to them. Don't send them to college. Open up a dry cleaners and give it to them. Don't send them to college. Open up a supermarket and give it to them. Don't send them to college. Open up a used car lot and give it to them. Don't send them to college. Open up a cleaning business with all the equipment and all the transportation equipment and give it to them. That's what we need y'all to do. Give out businesses and business grants. Stop this college stuff. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. Some of our children need to go to the university. If they score high enough, look at their scores, look at their grades. If they are academically inclined, pay for them to go to college to be a lawyer. Pay for them to go to college to be a doctor. Pay for them to go to college to be an engineer. Pay for them to go to college to be an educator, a psychologist, an astronaut. Pay for them to go to college to be a judge. Okay? But for those children who are not necessarily interested in college, and let's be honest, at least half of our children are not interested in 4 more years of white supremacy instructional pedagogy. Let's be honest. Many of our children are not interested in 4 more years of sitting in front of white folk who do not care about them. Facts. Facts. Okay? So that's what I need you to do, my brother. All right? So, I tell them I don't have no money. When I call them, Mr. Dudley, the representative at Motley's, told me that we have an auction next Wednesday, I think it was. The auction was 7 days after my initial phone call. I don't have no money to buy that school. So he said, give us an offer, and if we don't get a purchaser, we may be able to work something out for you, Dr. Umar Johnson. So I say, no problem. But he also says that in order to place your bid, you have to have a certain amount of money to go down, and that I needed an attorney to write up my offer. So I was scheduled to speak in St. Louis, Missouri. And for the first time in my life, because I never liked asking our people for anything, we've had too many hustlers and con artists that have come before us. Many of you have tried to put money in my hands for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy for the past 10 years, and I refused it. Okay? Okay, some of you have testified to this. We've tried to give him money. He refused it because he said until he had an identifiable school and until he had a bank account for the school, Dr. Umar Johnson refused to take any funds for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. So in St. Louis, for the first time in my history, I took up a public collection. And may God bless St. Louis, we raised about $600 that night off the collection. I used that $600 to pay a black attorney Codrington out of New York, a business attorney, to write up my proposal to pay for the St. Paul's College. I believe we put in a bid of about $1 million, if memory serves me correctly. St. Paul's College called me about a week later, the realty company, Motley's, and they said, the school hasn't been sold. How serious are you about buying St. Paul's College? I said, I am very serious about purchasing a St. Paul's College. I want to open a school for black boys. I'm a former school principal. I'm a former school assistant principal. I'm a school psychologist, nearly 20 years. This is a dream of mine. I need that school. Can y'all give me a payment plan? If y'all can give me a payment plan, I am certain that the black community will get behind me so we can pay off this college. They said, we can't do no payment plans. It's an auction. Why don't you come on down? Let's talk about it. So I drove the 5 hours down to Southern Virginia, okay, which is only 90 miles from the North Carolina border. We sat down, we went to lunch, okay, and I am thankful because the president of the school and the auction company gave me permission to do a video. And that's the video that's still on YouTube now. Okay, that powerful video about what we wanted to do with the St. Paul's College. Shout out to my brother Malik, who came up on a second's notice, drove up from Greensboro to do that video for me at the last minute. That brother came up at the last. We did that video for St. Paul's College at the spur of the moment. If y'all remember, right after that, I started asking you guys to send in your donations, right? I opened up a school account, Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Any of you who have ever donated, okay, have received your canceled check, and on the back it says Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. The money does not go into my account. It goes into a Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy account, which we established in the spring of 2014 for the specific purpose of raising funds for the Fdmg RBG International Leadership Academy for unapologetically African alpha males in Pan-African excellence. So then, we would start raising the money. If y'all remember, I started with a PayPal. Okay, we got about 103,000 sitting in the PayPal right now. Okay, it's there. Okay, but then PayPal cut off that fundraiser because certain agents in the black community, coons, y'all know who they are, contacted PayPal and said I was participating in a scam to have people give me money for a school that does not exist. So PayPal cut the fundraiser at that time. But they did tell me that once I provided them with the incorporation paperwork, I would be able to access the funds. No problem here. Okay. So then folks begin to send in the checks along with the PayPal, right? So when the PayPal cut, we continue to do the checks. We still have the money in PayPal. It's there. No issues. Okay. So then you guys were sending in the checks. Some of you asked me to do a online crowdfunding campaign. And some of you who have been with me from the beginning, you remember that I said what? I said, I don't want to do a crowdfunding campaign. Kickstarter, what's the one that I have? GoFundMe, Indigo. I didn't want to do it. Why didn't I want to do it? Because they take too much money out. They take too much money out. When you look on my GoFundMe right now, let me look at it right now. Let's see where we at right now. I'm going to show y'all something. Those crowdfunding campaign sites are scams. They are ripoffs. Okay, let me go to GoFundMe right now. I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. GoFundMe.com/DRUMAR. Okay, right now it says we have 390,000. Right now, 390,000 in donations right now, right? But what they're not telling you, and you can research this to make sure, okay, because memory doesn't always serve me correctly, but GoFundMe charges about 4-5% of everything.